Hello, welcome to another video. Here's Martin, and today I will talk about what is running in this development kit because I've found on the internet a really interesting project by Dmitry Greenberg. I saw this post on the Reddit, and I've noticed that this is the PalmOS operating systems. And before I will go further what this project does, I will need to start a little bit what PalmOS is. By the way, this application which Dmitry created, this is the same guy who ran Linux on the AVR, which was booting like 3 hours, and if you write a command and wait a few minutes, then you will basically get everything running fine. So he created this project, Repalm. He did a really nice write-up a few days ago. But first thing, I would like to introduce you to what the PalmOS is, because just before the phones and the GPRS in some year around 2000, I think, these small packet devices were created where you can write your agenda, your events, your phone numbers, your to-do lists, and you can draw your notes. This was a pretty basic device with Motorola 68K processor with some RAM. This is the Palm 505. So this had older PalmOS version, 33 MHz processor, 8 MB RAM, and small density LCD, but it was color, which was this was the one of the first devices from Palm, not from Sony. Sony already, I guess, had color devices, and these devices could do a lot of things. So you can add some GSM modem, or use SD cards or MMC cards and synchronize it with your computer, with your emails, contacts with this connector. Later they've introduced better and bigger computer, Palm Tungsten T, and this device had X-scale processor, which meant that all the old applications had to be emulated, which is kind of fun. So for example, I used Files application, and if I run it, then it works perfectly on both processors. So when the Palm did some mobile phones, the Treo line, and really a few years later, I guess that iPhones were invented, and the company completely was shut down and no new devices were created, which is a kind of shame, because you can write a nice C code for these devices. The latest devices, Live Drive, I think it was called, had even the Wi-Fi, so you could browse the internet. This one, Tungsten T3, has only Bluetooth. And this is the Tungsten line, and this is the T3 and its spec, with a high density display. So what all this comes to is this project by Dmitry, and he basically emulated PalmOS, but it's not completely emulated. If you read this very nicely written document on his website, then you will know all what is happening, what is emulated, what is not. And I would like to show you what's running here. So this kit is STM32F4 Discovery. This kit has some bigger Cortex M4 processor and 8 MB of RAM. and all this allowed Dmitry to run this PalmOS. So let's take a closer look on this device. So on his website, down on the bottom there's a binary file which you can download and flash to your ST microprocessor and run it the same way I do. This is STM32F4 Disco. Be careful, there's another one version. And after power up, you do the same thing you do with your PalmOS. You have to calibrate the touchscreen with the 3 presses, and if everything goes alright, then you can use the PDA. So Dmitry did a really crazy thing, because on the he used the PalmOS 5 from some device similar to this, and this device is using the processor which has some instructions which are called ARM thumb or only thumb, and these thumb instructions, like your thumb, they can be they are also on this Cortex M4 processor or M3, but there are a few issues, like these processors can also run older ARM instructions which are 4 bytes, and it can run thumb and ARM instructions, but new Cortex processors are easier and cheaper, and they can run only thumb instructions. So what Dmitry did is he is emulating these ARM instructions, but only the ARM instructions. So he created some crazy just-in-time emulator, which emulates just the piece of code which is written in ARM. Usually it's only a small fragment of code which has to run quickly, and then it switches back to the thumb. Also, the PalmOS doesn't have any memory protection unit or memory management unit. Everything runs happily in one address space and shares the memory. So it also means that it easily hangs up. And Dmitry also wanted to run this PalmOS ROM natively. So he could rewrite it, everything, but his challenge was to run it natively and emulate only a few bits. He also rewrite many tens of thousands lines of code which emulates load and store instructions, and also some window management code. Nice hack is that when this Cortex M4 runs to the ARM instruction, which is not supported on this platform, then it creates a usage fault error in the code, and this is the place where the just-in-time emulator actually emulates these instructions and then returns to the thumb instructions, which are run natively on this device. And he was successful to get this emulation down from 170 cycles for one instructions down to 14 cycles per instruction. So on this 168 MHz device, it's quite quick, and you can play chess pretty easily. So the fun thing is that when you are running Motorola 68K code here, then it can be emulated twice. Once the older 68K code is emulated in ARM, and when this processor hits ARM instructions, he has to convert them to thumb instructions. So this is the second emulation. I did some programming for the newest PalmOS 5, and I use, they call it Palmlets or something like that, and you can jump from the emulated state from the application to the ARM, directly to the ARM mode, and you can run some piece of code on the with a full speed on this 400 MHz Intel Xscale processor, and then you go back. The funny thing was that you had to juggle a little bit with the parameters, because there's a different NDNS between the Motorola and between the Intel. So you have to switch the 4 bytes between, and then after some computation you jump back to the 68 code and you have to switch the bytes again. In the future I would also would like to do a teardown of these two devices, so let me know if you are interested in that. And right now I just show the basic drawing here. This is still work in progress, but so far it's running great. It has also working graffiti, so I can, if I remember correctly, no, I moved, I can write hello, and it also, PalmOS had also good find subsystem, so if I write this, it will see that I've written a note with text hello. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you like this kind of short videos, short and unprepared and very rough, and I will see you in the new videos later. Bye.